Today, the number of caregivers will probably surprise most people. There are an estimated 44 million people who are caring for a loved one or a family member or another person who has a chronic or disabling condition, and they provide unpaid assistance and support to these people. It's probably not a surprise that 2/3 of them are female. And actually the dollar value of this care, this unpaid care that is provided by these folks, is over $306 billion, which eclipses the total amount of nursing home care and other care given to the same age group population.
A caregiver who traditionally it can be at probably any age, but a caregiver gives all their purpose and their time to monitoring, watching, caring for someone in their family or somebody in the community as well. Often it can be a financial challenge. It's not cheap to be a caregiver. Often you have to give up your job where your income is limited. It's also, some of the challenges would also be support for yourself. You spend so much time focusing on what to do for other people. You often lose yourself in that process. Donna?
There are also other effects that are extremely disturbing and concerning. Caregivers actually are at very high risk for medical issues. They have 1 in 10 reports that in their role as a caregiver, they have found that their physical health has declined precipitously. 20% of caregivers actually suffer from depression. They are symptomatic of the classical criteria for depression, given the stress of the job. 23% have higher rates of stress hormones. They have a 50% lower rate of antibody responses, which means the stress of this dealing with this role day after day is suppressing their immune system, and it makes them more susceptible to a myriad of health concerns. And women who spend 9 hours a day caring for a disabled spouse or a family member or another person, which is probably, I would say, and I'm sure you'd agree, Stacy, is conservative. Someone with a disabling condition, it's more than 9 hours a day. Their risk of heart disease is twice the national average.
Some of the duties of a caregiver, the list is enormous. You're the cook, you the financial person, you're the nurse, sometimes the doctor, you're the housekeeper. It's for an ongoing position, and it's 24 hours a day. Well, some of the warning signs would be your own health is deteriorating. There could be a weight loss, there could be a weight gain as well. Your emotions, you could be on edge more, easily, crying could be part of it as well. Having those feelings of being lost, no longer in control as well. And there's a heaviness that sometimes comes when you start to have your crisis and you just don't know where to turn. And that's why the Senior Center really wants you to know that we're here. We can't solve everybody's problem, yet we can guide you and see there are resources in the community for you. You're not alone. Caregivers often realize that they need more assistance, more support, usually a day after they really needed it as well. Unfortunately, we often see caregivers in crisis mode. Then they're reaching out for help. They've had a health issue. They've had an issue where they no longer can be the full-time caregiver. They try their best. Most caregivers are givers. They give all this energy out, and oftentimes they don't get a lot of that energy back as well, and it depletes them emotionally, physically, where we come with a lot of the medical issues that come up as well, and people wind up in crisis.
Especially among older caregivers. the mortality rate for the person that is the caregiver is much higher than the average rate given the same age group. And it's not uncommon for someone to predecease the person they're caring for because they're neglecting their own health to such a degree.
One would be, do you have time for yourself in the day? Is your 24-hour day just focused completely on the person you're caring for? Are you easily frustrated? Are you exhausted for no reason as well? And that's physical and emotional as well. You feel you're all alone.
Yeah. And do you feel sad most of the time that you have a general lack of hope? When your world is really bleak, it's time to ask for help. And oftentimes, as Stacy said, sadly, people wait until they're in a crisis. And there are supports available here at the Senior Center and within the Aging Services Network here on the Cape. And we would love to have people reach out to us so that we can help them find those supports that can make a difference for them. Because the care you give to yourself is the care you give to your the person you're caring for. And very often, caregivers feel great guilt about taking care of themselves. They're more apt to ignore their own physical and emotional symptoms. They don't go to the doctor themselves. They'll never miss an appointment for the person they're caring for, but they overlook or ignore symptoms and signs that are very concerning that could have a devastating effect.
Caregivers.
Well, we have a wonderful adult day program. It's a non-medical program that provides a structured, monitored day for elders who have aged in place in the town of Barnstable. It's a fun, inviting atmosphere. There's a social snack, coffee, a full lunch. There's games, and there's a built-in socialization where you know the person you're caring for is in a safe environment. They are enjoying their day. They're making friends. And the caregiver has an opportunity to regroup. They have an opportunity to go to the doctor themselves. They have an opportunity to take a break, to have that moment of respite, to just exhale. Because you're so busy holding on, making sure everything is done correctly and your person is well cared for. As Donna has said, you forget about you. And it gives you that opportunity to refresh and regroup and be the better caregiver.
It's very important for people to give for a caregiver to give themselves the permission to acknowledge that they need some time away. Again, as I said, you're only as good as your capacity to give. If you are totally exhausted, if all of your resources are depleted, you don't have much to give. And we also have support groups here at the Barnstable Senior Center. There is one run by Elder Services, facilitated by one of the social workers, the second and fourth Wednesday of every single month from 9:30 to 11. If you are a grandparent raising grandchildren, because it's just not caring for an older person, we also have support groups here for them as well. We also have a caregiver walking program, which has, for the summer, we're not holding it, but in the fall that will pick up again. It's a great opportunity. We've partnered with the Hyannis Youth and Community Center here in Barnstable, a great resource, to use their indoor walking track. And it is an hour of an opportunity to put on your headset, just walk, have some free time, maybe talk to some other caregivers who understand what you're going through. And we have staff that's available to provide respite and an activity if you do need to bring the person that you're caring for. And if anyone wants to learn more about that, they can certainly call us here at the Senior Center.
Yeah, and it's a great program. It gives you support, you get the exercise, and exercise is vital to releasing some of the caregiver stress which is very important. And you also have Donna will be there, and she will have the opportunity to give you some of those resources.
That's right.
You can have it in a kind, safe environment as well. You know, navigating the whole caregiving maze is challenging.
It is.
And basically, caregivers, what we find is there's so much that it's overwhelming. So basically, what the Barnstable Senior Center can do is kind of narrow that pathway a little bit. And let's focus and prioritize what's very important, what you need, what is locally available to you as well. And we have a caregiver resource program. We have a library. Donna and I run a wonderful support Savvy Caregiver, which is a nationally known program to teach caregivers skills and tools to really enrich their caregiving needs.
We also have many, many contacts within the Aging Services Network, other providers on the Cape that we work closely with. And part of our mission is to make a caregiver's job, which is daunting, a little easier by finding these supports. Because when you're taking care of someone and it's consuming all your time, you really don't have the time to do the research that you need. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And we also, when we meet with people, and sometimes it's just for a quick conversation, just sometimes it's for a guide, but we do have a quick sheet. It's called Getting Started, where it has the Barnstable Senior Center, it has the Barnstable Adult Day Program, Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands, Hope Dementia, Family Caregiving Resources of Cape Cod, and other local support that it's right there in a small description. And we kind of check off, this is who you should call, this is a good resource for you. And we help them make that connection.
It's actually a conversation that needs to be had sooner than later. As soon as you have some concerns about the well-being or the cognitive or physical health of one of your parents, you really do need to sit down. You can be sure that, you know, they're concerned, they see it, but oftentimes there's fear and denial, but they really need your help. And we're here to help the children of the folks that need this as well, because you're right, geography is a challenge for many of the people that come to the Cape, come here to retire, and they don't have the familial support systems. And we very often do deal with family members via phone or whether they come in to visit when they're here. But we're used to doing that, and I would encourage anyone, sit down and go to the doctors. Make some time to go to the doctor with your folks and find out, ask the questions, because oftentimes they've already had the answers, but they're so overwhelmed that they don't even know how to communicate that to you, or they're afraid.
Yeah, and it's very common, especially here on the Cape, where people come to visit during the holidays or in the summertime, that our phone rings a lot more after the 4th of July, you know, graduations and things like that. And they say, you know what, I don't know, something's going on with my parents, I'm not really sure. And it's a great opportunity for us to kind of open that door or the window just to kind of say hi. And it can be a little scary for the child, but also for the parent asking for help. So that's why we try to create a very inviting environment, and it's a failure-free, non-threatening, because, you know, talking about personal stuff can be challenging, and especially for this current generation that is aging in place here. And we want to make people feel welcome, and no judgment, no nothing. We are here to support.
I'm glad you said that, because that's really important. I can say with 100% certainty, we're not here to judge anyone. We're here to help people. You know, families dynamics can be an interesting thing, and sometimes it's messy. That is of no concern to us in terms of, you know, you don't have to worry about being embarrassed or uncomfortable. We're just here to help you. Simple as that.
Yeah, and being a distant caregiver, you know, nowadays you have the telephone, email, there are numerous ways to communicate and kind of be involved, but you don't always have to be there. I've conducted many of family interventions and interviews with our speakerphone. I'll have the parents here and the child be on the other line. So there are different ways and creative ways that all distant caregivers can be involved at some level.
And it's actually something that we work on, in particular with our savvy caregiving, is very uncomfortable for many people, is how to sit down as a family, to accept what people are able to do to help or to support, and to work out a plan, you know, that makes the situation livable for everyone, so that you can look back and as a family know that you came together and did the best that you could for your family member.
And it's okay.
And each other.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it's okay for the caregiver to, this is a question I hear all the time from caregivers is, I don't know what they can do for me. And I said, well, let's think about this. What can they do? Can they hire somebody if that's available to mow the lawn so you don't have to and take that stress away from you as well? Could they sign up for a food delivery service where the food comes right to the house? They may not be right here in town, but that is something they can do as a distant caregiver. Could they, you know, take a bill away? Can they pay your cell phone bill or give you another cell phone, things like that? So there are things that distant caregivers can do to support, or they can make a plan and say, you know what, Mom, Dad, I'm coming down once a month, I'm going to spend Saturday.
Right. We've even seen families that, if you have the resources, have the siblings have pooled their resources so that someone can go to respite at one of the local facilities for a week, so that the caregiver can actually take a vacation or do something that's important to them, so that we help people navigate different opportunities to lighten your burden and to bring all family members into the whole process of assisting someone through a declining or disabling illness.
Yeah, and it's hard. You have to remember, being a caregiver is work. It's something you weren't trained for. You didn't grow up saying, hey, I want to be a caregiver. As well, we often fall into this role, and it's difficult to navigate as well, but there are supports in our community, which is terrific. Cape Cod, you know what, we all stand by each other, and there's a lot of resources here, and all you have to do is say, hi, what can you do for me? How can I help? And our answer is, how can we help you?
And I would encourage someone, if you are watching this and you're feeling overwhelmed and hopeless and just at the end of your rope, there are support systems. It's not all bleak. I won't say it's not a tough road, because it is for most people, but we can help make it a little easier, and that's what we are here for and what we want to do for you.